I hear from folks all the time about the president's approval rating in the economy. For supporters of the president, including some very close to him, who say, look at how his approval rating stands. Look at where the economy stands. You guys are missing this story. Things are going very well. He's not up for re-election. Obviously, the midterms will, to some extent, be a function to how they go, will be a function of what his approval rating is and how the economy is. So it's worth tracking for that reason. I don't think it really makes much of a difference on his legislative agenda. I don't think his support in Congress is dependent on whether his approval rating is 42 or 46. But here's today's job figures, which are job figures first, if you would, are it says more than expected payroll increase, unemployment's about the same. These numbers aren't great, but a lot of the economic data is pretty positive. It's just true. We could run through it, but there's some positive. And then if you look at his job approval rating, again, it's not gangbusters. He is, as the pros say, underwater. His disapproval is higher than his approval. But in the current day, for presidents, at 47%, is that what that says? 47?
Yeah,
yeah. A 47% approval rating in this age of polarization, and given where Trump has been historically, it's pretty good. Sometimes when the president talks about his poll numbers, he's fibbing. But now when he says it's as high as it's been, even though he wouldn't want to admit that his disapproval is higher, he's not wrong. So Dan, if you were the president's pollster or political director, and he said, "How's the economy doing? How's my job approval?" What would you tell him?
Yeah, I think the two are very linked, and I think it goes to the conversation we just had with China, which is, look, we all laugh about the TACO acronym, but the reason the economy is stabilized is there is a sense that Trump is not going to really go through or back to the early days of liberation with these astronomically high tariffs and some sort of long-term showdown with China where we turn the screws to them and see who cries uncle. The feeling amongst a lot of the business community is he's backed off. He's trying to find a way to kind of declare victory and get out. The jobs number is not a leading indicator. It's a laggard, right? It is a rear view mirror. And I think the sense is inflation is decent. Companies are not having to pass on tremendous amount of costs right now. They're not having to do layoffs because there's been no cliff we've fallen off. The question is, if Trump cannot get out of this, if he does on July 9th say, I'm going back to everything, you'll see another hemorrhaging of companies going crazy. So I think the challenge is your approvals are good. The economy is good because you've backed off on tariffs.
So look, the funny thing about the economic numbers this morning, the expectations were between 120 and 130. It came in at 139. And leading into today, the narrative in all these financial reports and in the morning shows was, we'll see if this is the month. They are rooting for a bad economy. And month after month since February, the media has said, this will be the month that we finally see all of these Trump policies manifesting themselves. And month after month, he's beat expectations. The bottom line is, go look at the stock market that everyone thought was going to collapse. Go look at these numbers, right? It's so funny how wrong the media is over and over and again. And all these prognosticators that talk about how Trump's policies are going to crush the economy. In this, we had the same people say the same thing in the first term, and we had one of the best economies this nation has ever seen. So I've stopped really caring about these so-called experts and what they think. Look at the results. They're coming through for the American people and for our economy. Secondly, on his approval rating, I had both of the McLaughlin brothers on last Friday. They've got his approval at 51. Regardless of whether it's 47 or 51, I think he's very happy with it. The base is extremely solid. And if he continues to deliver for the American people on all of these things, it's going to continue to rise. So I can tell you from talking to a lot of his top aides, both on the outside and inside the White House, they feel great.
I will say, though, Sean, these economic numbers are very similar to Joe Biden's economic numbers. So I would not say,
I guess the point is for 4 years we heard why they weren't that bad, and now it's everyone's rooting for collapse.
Yeah, I mean, just like, look, under Biden, like there was all this talk in 2024 that things were going to collapse, right? It didn't, right? But the perception kind of stuck. So I hear you that it does. The floor has not fallen out on Trump, and for that they can claim credit.
Like what you see? Why don't you subscribe? This is a great opportunity to be part of unique conversations. Just hit the subscribe button. And if you want to watch our events live, go to twoway.tv.